Good morning, guys. What is going on out there today? It is Brent Abel here, webtennis.com, as in let's see what actually works. Let's not believe the clickbait, the hype, the theory. Let's not do any of that. Let's kind of see what actually works for the rest of us. How about that? Let's do that. Let's do some of that today. Hey guys, listen, I got something I think you're going to enjoy today. A couple of stories about this topic, which is you got to be super vigilant, got to be super careful about engaging. And we're going to get into that in just 1 second. Before we do, an announcement about this morning, the January 2021 physical reboot. We're going to on day 9 this morning at 7:30 Pacific. And if you've got a hankering to kind of reboot, reset the old bod, after 2020, could be just the holidays, but it could be the whole year. I don't know. Maybe you need to drop some pounds, shed some weight, sleep better, looking for more energy, non-buzzy, non-caffeinated energy, some recovery if you're working out, playing a lot of tennis, doing whatever in the gym. Join me every morning this month at 7:30 a.m. Pacific time zone, 10:30 Eastern, and we spend about 12 or 15 minutes, and I've got some recommendations not only of videos to watch, documentaries to watch, but books to read. And the other thing is, look, if there's something that you want to get done in terms of a reboot or reset with a body, I'm here to be your wing guy, right? I'm here to be your accountability partner if you need that. And if you want some ideas in terms of diet, what I do, again, I don't preach diet, but I'm happy to share my story about it, let you know what I do. And if you want any suggestions, and of course, you know, the big story I've had all year last year was getting off of ibuprofen. That was a big deal for me. I was sucking down 2 or 3 of those little bad boys every day before I go out and work out and play tennis, knowing no bueno, this is not a great long-term solution. So I finally found something last April that totally got me off of ibuprofen. And anyway, if you want to learn more about that, just go ahead and hit me up over at Facebook. You can direct message me or shoot me an email, brent@webtennis.com. So guys, we're on the 7 around 7, meaning let's go 7 minutes around 7 a.m. every morning Pacific. And what I've got for you today is a warning and a couple of horror stories. Actually, one's a horror story. One was actually turned out okay. But you got to be really careful about engaging with your opponent in singles or one or both of your opponents in doubles. And what I mean about engaging is, let's say, for example, you've got someone on the other side of the net, some guy or some gal that you would never, ever in a million years sit down and have a cup of coffee with, or sit down and have a beer or something, because that person's personality over there or whatever it is just not your cup of tea, man. In fact, they're just kind of strutting around over there, just whatever, and just kind of getting under your skin. And one of the great excuses that we make is, I mean, there's all kinds of excuses, right? When we start, match gets tight, or we're up ahead in the match, and all of a sudden it starts to get away from us. And the next thing you know is we start building the story so that if we lose this match, we've got a pretty darn good excuse story that we can tell the fellas why we lost the match. Certainly we can tell ourselves. And you got to be, man, you got to really be careful with that, with that story building thing in a match. So look, today's thing is about you got to disengage from your opponent. As simple as that. And I've learned this lesson the hard way, where I've just gone, God, that guy is just an idiot over there, whatever it is. And actually, I played a match. I hadn't thought of this match until just right now, but I played a match a couple of years ago here in the 60 hard courts, and I was actually subbing for a friend of mine who had dropped out. He got injured right before the tournament started, and I asked the tournament director, "Hey, look, can I take this guy's spot?" Because I wasn't entered, and he said, "Fine." Played a pretty good guy the first round, but this guy's personality was just really rubbing me the wrong way. And there was in the beginning this kind of sense that, I wanted to kind of, puff up a little bit and just, kind of engage with some of his remarks. And his remarks were basically, hey, old man, this is the 60s. You're in the 70s. I don't know what you're thinking, all this kind of stuff. And so finally it got to the point where, I won the first set, and I'm closing out the match at, I think it's 5-4 in the second set. And he hits a short little ball that's clearly wide. And of course I call it out. And the next thing you know is he goes nuts. He goes crazy because he's been doing this stuff, saying this stuff almost after almost every point, where you can see that the frustration is building up, that here's a guy who's probably 10 years younger than I am, and he's not winning the match. And he's probably thinking, what am I going to tell the fellows when I'm done? And so he just pops off. He just goes off and he just goes, oh my God, that, and I said, and I called him by name and I said, come here. And he comes up to net and he kind of, I said, you know what? You're better than this. I still get some crap about that from some of my friends around here at Mission Hills. But look, I luckily got out of that one. And I did realize that there was a point in that match where I just had to, as soon as the point was over, I had to turn around, I had to face the back fence. And if he said something, just let it go. Absolutely let it go. So look, I'm going to go past a little bit 7 minutes this morning because I've got two stories I want to share with you. And number one, and these stories are both about getting engaged with the opponent. One story is not great. It's kind of a horror story. And the second story turned out okay. But the first one is a match that I saw here 10 years ago. And it was at the 60 hard courts, Mission Hills Country Club. And a friend of mine was playing one of the top guys, and he was, and this top guy was seated somewhere in the top 8. And so my friend goes out there and he's playing this guy, and he decides that his strategy, for whatever reason, was I'm going to stay back and see if I can't work the ball around. And so he tried that, and I think he lost like the first 7 or 8 games. And at some point, and you could see the shift in his strategy, he just said, screw it. I'm coming in behind everything, right? For sure, every second serve, I'm going to chip in charge. I'm coming in. I'm serving and volleying on every first serve and every second serve. And so he's down, I think he's down like 6-0, 2-0, and he's serving there at 2-0. And the next thing you know, with this just onslaught of chipping and charging and serving and volleying, he wins the second set like 6-3. And we're all kind of going, wow, well there you have it. So the third set starts off, and he ends up, he's still with that strategy. And I can't remember if he breaks or holds the first game, but he's up 2-0 in the second. And at the last point that puts him up 2-0, his opponent, this top guy, seated in the top 8, rips a hammy, and he's just kind of trying to drag this leg around. And, it's not a side change. It's 2-0. And my friend sees this and he goes, oh, well, and you can say, well, after the match, I kind of just, I asked him, I said, what, and he said, well, I just thought that, he was hurt and I was just kind of waiting for him to retire. And so played another game, and the top player somehow squeaks out that third game, and now it's back on serve. And my friend goes, well, if he's not going to quit, then I'm going to stay back and just work the ball around and just rip that muscle right off the bone. So it's coming, right? Yeah. So the next thing you know is my buddy loses. I don't think he wins another game. Maybe he wins one more game, but he loses the match by thinking that he's going to stay back. He's pissed off. The guy will not retire because he's limping around with a pulled hammy, and whatever. But he ends up losing the match, and he comes off the court, and I'm just kind of going, what were you thinking? You're kicking his butt. He said, well, and this is where I found it. He said, well, yeah, but man, he wouldn't quit. He wouldn't retire. So I decided I'm just going to stay back. And I said, well, how'd that turn out? He goes, yeah, pretty dumb. So I learned right then and there, wow, this is dangerous, man. This is scary to sit there and I'm at 10 minutes. Okay. I'm gonna wrap this up here. This is scary that I just witnessed firsthand how engaging with an opponent can absolutely turn a match around no matter what. So look, the other story, I'm playing doubles at the Boise, the 55 indoors, obviously years ago. And we're in a tight match. It's a close match. It's a good match. And one of the opponents poaches off of my partner's not really a weak return to serve across the court, but sort of anticipated. I guess it was a planned poach on his part. But he poaches, gets a perfect ball, and just drills me. I mean, and it probably hits me, boom, right in the chest. I mean, absolutely drills me. I mean, there was no way to get out of the way. And, my first reaction is, hey, good poach. That's part of the game, right? My partner goes, well, here's what's happened. Here's why my partner went crazy is the guy who drills me turns around to his partner and just goes, yeah, baby. And look, fine, big deal. I don't think he was, he wasn't intentionally trying to, hit me or hurt me or anything, but I think it was a big point. It was more that it was a big point, important point. They wanted to win. It was somewhere in the third set, but my partner goes crazy. He goes, what? Yeah, baby. And he goes up to the net and starts engaging with this guy. And I've got to get in between the two of them and start pushing my partner back and go, hey, and I'm not going to mention his name. I'm just going, hey, babe, this is not helping us. Just let her go. Let her go. Let's work on this point right now. He's just fuming. He's steaming at this guy. And I frankly do not remember if we won or lost that match. But the point is, guys, is that you can't engage. You just can't do it. And the risk of engaging, I mean, if you've got someone in doubles who's kind of headhunting, right? He's trying to hit opponents. He's trying to hit you. He's trying to hit your partner. Well, lots of guys try to man up and go, okay, if he's trying to hit us, then I'm going to hit him. And the next thing you know is you're trying to hit him off a ball that, is not the right ball to go after somebody because it's too tough a shot. And we kind of take ourselves out of the match. So that's it for today. Be really vigilant about engaging with your opponent. And look, I mean, lots of times we've got someone who's just making a shaky call or two. And rather than engaging with, are you sure? Oh, it looked good to me. Come on. No, that ball is good. Just look, if it's a practice match and it's happening over and over again, find a different practice partner. Just don't put yourself in that situation or use it as Tommy Tucker, the great Tommy Tucker, and I've shared a story about him, about how he told me once, you ought to go play this guy on a weekly basis because he's notorious. Hooker, cheater, makes intentionally bad calls in his favor. He says, you ought to go play this guy, 3 or 4 practice sets every week just to start desensitizing yourself to not engaging, right? And if it's a tournament or if it's a league match, if it's happening like that, just go get some help. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago playing a guy in the finals of a big tournament. And I knew that he was a notorious, lousy. He didn't see the lines too well. And the first one, I just said, we're going to get some help. Went off, I went to the tournament director, said, we need help on court too. And he said, I walked back to the court and he's trying, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I thought that ball, I just going, I'm not even talking to the guy. So be wary of that. Be careful not to engage. Guys, with that said, maybe you can join me at 7:30 this morning, about 16 minutes for day 9 of the January 2021 31-day physicality. I don't even know if that's a word. Reboot, reset. Guys, with that said, get out there today. Help someone else have a great day. Might mean don't be divisive on social media. Don't do that stuff anymore. Stop it. Just help someone else have a great day. Guys, thanks for that today. Thanks for hanging out with me today. And I will see you again tomorrow.